So run me through it. Like if a girl says, hey, we want to make this Mike Carroll board. This is the shape, PS sticks. How do you route the shape? How do you do the shape?
Well,
how do you know what
the shape in this case is like, hey, just give us the ones you used for the mid-'90s movie. Because I made boards for the mid-'90s movie.
Oh, right.
Era accurate, in the right mold, the right thing. It's like, well, just give us that board.
Yeah, if you have the right mold and you have the right, basically what's that big block of wood that you use to basically cut the shape?
Well, the shape is a template, right? So template cuts the shape.
Yeah.
Right. So once I have it, so in my factory, the way we do it is we'll take the stack of boards, we'll drill through all of them at once, put them on that template. A big clamp comes down from the top. 2 cutters come in and it rotates around. The big cutter is going slower and just eats it all away. And then there's a little cutter that's going faster that just gets the finished cut.
And it follows the mold underneath.
Turns it away.
Floor.
The dust collector sucks the dust up. It goes in a bin, and the forklift driver empties the bin a couple times a day.
Who's smoothing it out?
Well, that's
you smoothing it out by hand?
Well, yeah. So now it's shaped.
Yeah.
Then it gets edge routed. So we round the edges of a router, and it's very not perfect yet. And then it's edge sanding, and you have a balloon sander, and the sander's like a balloon. It's got an inner tube in it, right? And you sand it against it, and it's about not sanding too much,
right?
But sanding enough.
That's by hand.
Nice round rail. Yeah,
that's
all by hand.
So the laser numbers you had, that's like something you can go in and hit it, or like you put in the number for the laser and then
So it's process control, because it's really, the laser is used in my factory, so they don't mix things up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. If you made a batch of 50, 20 different shapes today, and you mess up that batch, you can't mess up the batch. It's all about the number. Mm-hmm. The rack has a number. The board has a number.
And this is computers. It's all done by computers.
Well, the management is done by computer.
Okay.
The paperwork.
Right.
Right. Just paperwork. But basically, yeah, people have paperwork. They walk around with an iPad and they go, okay, this was now cut. It moves from stage 3 to 4. Oh, it's out of sanding and moved to stage 5. Oh, it's done with painting. It's 6. Oh, it's 7. Okay, it's done with heat transfer. Oh, 8. It's packed and ready to ship.
This customer
9,
wants 500
it's out
of
the
them.
door. Right.
Huh.
So there's a system for it.
How long does it take from the press to out the door?
Well, you press it, and then it needs to cure for at least a week.
At least a week.
How big is your curing facility? You can have
got plenty of space. Yeah, plenty of space.
Wow, it's an intensive process. It feels like it's a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a lot.
That one board that dude skating took a week to make.
Yeah,
essentially with curing.
Yeah,
included.
Pretty much from cut through packaging department and shrink wrapped and in a box is usually 2 to 3 days.
What's a minimum? If I wanted to come in there and make 20 boards, would you do that?
A pro skater like yourself who can't get what they need and they'll come spend their time with me, I'll help you tune it in. Okay. But when it comes to business, now it's got to be enough business to do business.
Sure.
Right? That's the hard reality there.
Yeah.
So usually it's like 300 boards.
Oh.
It's it's a good minimum. Yeah.
Could be multiple graphics or multiple sizes, but but in general, I try to really focus on big premium brands.
Right.
I don't do shop boards. I don't play the bottom of the market. I try to stand for that premium, and I try to really put the substance into the product, so the consumer can count on it.
Because there are other wood shops out there that will take a 20 board order.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
What boards are you making now, for the most part?
I mean, you can go to a skate shop and see everything with the laser seal.
Yeah.
It changes because some brands will be like, I'll build stuff for certain region of the world and to be cost effective and comply with Brazil. I don't build that stuff, right? So it's like sometimes it can be regional things like that. Sometimes a new business person comes in or a new salesman comes in and they're like, I really love this brand from this other factory, or a rider be like, well, I want to ride what my buddy's riding.
Yeah.
And
bareback.
Where
right.
if they'll come and spend some time to manual around and ollie around, I'll get them to a better place than they'll ever be with their buddy's board. But got to go on a tour this week, got to film a video. So it's like spare time, right?
Sure.
And now, it used to be right now we're in the dead time, but with Olympic season going on right now, there is no break, right? So usually I would work with guys in the 6 months where we weren't having contests and get them tuned in for contest season, right? Oh. And then sometimes I'll tune somebody right in the middle of contest season. Like a couple years back, I don't know, 5-7 years ago. PJ Ladd made a board with me and then won the Battle of the Barracks the next day on that board. He painted and sanded with me the day before.
Wow.
Right?
I heard stories that he was in there a lot with you.
PJ spent a lot of time with me, and at the end, I never really satisfied PJ.
Oh, he still wasn't satisfied.
Nah, he found a board from another factory that he liked, and that's what he rides.
Yeah, I know you always like Chapman Wood.
Yeah, it's a different factory than that
Crazy.
up in Canada.
What's funny that he still won Battle of the Barracks on your board,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then he still wasn't satisfied.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
But he's amazing.
But there are
dude. Yeah.
skaters like that who are
That's
just
that's a
super
skateboarder.
hyper focused on
Right.
every little detail of the board.
No, but there could be things as well, like, I don't know, two and a half summers ago, Lacey Baker came to my shop for the first time, and she spent the time to manual and ollie around. And I built her boards for many years. She used to ride for Element before, and I've known her for a long time. And she gave me that 3 hours, and she's like, well, I want this. I'm like, that's not, I don't think that's what you really want. Let's just modify the board. And then she mouths around, that's what I want. Like her head was so stuck on what
She thought
the
she
mold,
wanted.
which is actually the mold the girl used, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, but the other things weren't adding up to that. But what it was really that fingers are flat behind the bolt holes, and getting that leverage point right for her. And then 2 weeks later, she wins Street League in LA with a, I don't know, 20-foot. I don't know if it was a flip in or out of a nose manual or whatever, but it's
Yeah, I
exactly
remember
what
that, yeah.
what we
Nose
worked
manual,
on
yeah.
was her manual off her nose, and then you go see her do that with it.
That's
You know?
amazing.
It's so funny. I used to have this guy that we skated with, acquaintance, right? And he'd always be like, you guys get special boards. And like you're so good because you get special boards. And it was never the case. We would just, at a girl or chocolate, we'd grab our boards, right? But there are those skaters that come and work with you that have their own special board tailored for themselves.
And sometimes that becomes production that the brand sells.
That's right.
Sometimes it doesn't because that size isn't selling right now. And this brand is talking to this customer.
Yeah.
And so Creature talks to a different customer than Girl talks
Totally.
to, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is the brand has to sell what's working for the genre they're in. And
Sure.
if it's not, then they're not going to be in business.
Right.
So sometimes what the rider likes to ride isn't what the market wants to buy right now.
And that's the closest thing we got was just screening our graphic onto a shape that we
Right.
liked, So I would skate a 775, but my board out in the market would be at 8.25 or
Right.
whatever. So I was riding a different board than what was on the shelf.
Which is a confusing story in one way. And I think a part of it times the product is not talked about enough because the salesman just wants to sell.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to get distracted by talking about what the pro likes to do with it, who made it, any of that stuff. They're like, realize a brand is an ego. And what's the ego going to talk about? It's brand.
Yeah.
It's not talking about anything else. We don't have time for anything else.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, we're selling an ego here, buddy. There's a lot of hot air's got to really be blown up to get this ego up, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And that's what a brand is, So there's, we're all in this room here, but then the 9 club's here too.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's a
Yeah.
brand.
It's a brand.
right?
Yeah. It's a living, breathing thing.
It's a living ego that you guys have put your resources into, and you've developed this ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the world out there appreciates it, and
That's
it's
right.
fabulous,
Yeah.
right? So it's like you're in the exact same business.
It's funny. I think Roger's ego is bigger than the 9 Club's ego. It's really bizarre, So
Big ego.
he's got a big ego.